So I woke up to some erroneous communication the other day, which I will concede that I took it the wrong way, my own self, and plus with me first waking up, which is in the afternoon. To be fair, all of my friends that text me or message, they're morning people. I kind of wish I was one, but I just am not. It was a friend of mine who was struggling with some stuff that was going on. So it was really sad and unfortunate, honestly. And she was struggling with stuff that internally that I've actually been struggling with my own self. And it kind of sent me off down this journey that I'm on right now with the mystery school. I had a whole bunch of hopes and dreams about the way that the world was. Granted, I am a grandiose person. I know this. But the concepts that hit me and the possibilities were so exciting. And there was stuff that I yearned for so much. And it seemed like now I'm starting to realize that these things are never going to happen. It doesn't matter how much I want them to. You know, I'm walking around with this void in my soul because the things that I desire so deeply are never going to come to fruition. And the things that I tried to do all just completely up and failed. They just crumbled. And I've lived this much of my life just in complete unhappiness. I started thinking, well, you know, if what I want is not for me, I'll never get it, and it'll be the rest of my days feeling this way. So what is for me? Where do I start with that? I have screwed up every single echelon of my life. According to the numerology, and all of this stuff is related, which right now is too big of a subject to tackle all at once, but everything that I was supposed to be doing in the first 10, 20 years of my life was being quiet and studious and keeping my head down and laying low. And I don't feel like I did a single bit of that. In fact, I did the exact opposite of it. So now is the time in my life when I'm supposed to burst forth with gusto. And I feel like I'm in the exact opposite. Again, I'm totally out of step with my life. Now is when I'm not hanging out. If I do hang out, I'm just not the same person. I'm not lively. I don't even drink anymore. I'm over it, kind of. And I'm seeing all of this stuff and seeing where I'm supposed to go and how am I needed. And there are still a lot of questions that go on with this. But it's caused me to just stop and really focus on this. And it's a spiritual path, which is nothing like what I've ever been growing up. I could give a shit less. I don't want your religion, and I still kind of don't. You know, I'm trying to figure it out for myself and the things that I actually see. And I'm not going to go down that road right now of like telling you exactly what I've seen that's turned me off of a lot of stuff too. There's like a borderline science, but no scientist will ever say, oh, that's science. The closest you could come to it is Pythagoras. It's all pretty fantastic. But the thing is now that I'm doing this, I don't have a whole lot else to talk about but this. Well, aside from that, what have you been up to? Well, painting. Which is great. You know, whatever end results that comes out, you know, awesome. But that's not a conversation at parties. I've been trying to get the right blue for this, and it's just evading me. It just doesn't feel right. Yeah, that's boring to talk about, really. You know, so I'm in doing this, anybody who's still around, and I have had to step away from a lot of people actually just before hitting this. Maybe this is my first third of the sati where like everything is just failing. I think that might be part of it. But I'm finding everybody has their own bullshit that they're dealing with, and shit splatters, and my own shit splatters. So I felt like this is probably a safer place to just put it out there instead of just living in a box. Even though it still kind of feels like I'm living in a box, which is okay for right now. Eternally, doing the meditations is actually making it not feel so horrible if this was the rest of my life and I never saw anybody again and it just was over. And that's not even coming from a petulant, depressive standpoint even. I've never been able to stay in the moment, I don't think. I am always looking on the horizon. And that mixed in with the collapse of dreams, it's not been a really good combo. So right now, it's peaceful. Nobody's bullshit is here. This candle smells really good. I have enough food. I'm warm. We have a cat. He's entertaining. And I got plenty of stuff I'm trying to work on that nobody can come with me on. So when my friend was actually mulling over stuff outwardly, which is totally good. I'm glad that she does that. And I kind of took it the wrong way. It was hitting me as like she was flinging rocks at what I was going through, or this part of my journey that I've been willing to share. She wasn't doing this. Let's make this clear. You know, we've talked about it later. It was a misconception on my part. But it did make me think an awful lot about, I said something before about there being a fine line between relating your experiences and preaching. And it really is. And that, most people who are actually really doing this don't jump up and down about it. I have, just because, first of all, it's new to me. Some of it, a lot of it, like the depth of it is new to me. So it's like, wow, this is some fantastic shit I just discovered. Well, everybody's either like just not interested, who gives a shit, or is irritated by it. So I think back to my granny was a Baptist. And that's all she was immersed in this. And I can't tell you how much I hated it when I was having issues and she'd finally get me to confide in her and I tell her what was going on. And the canned bit, you should trust in the Lord and give over to him and pray about, oh my God, please give me something useful. It was to her. It was everything to her. But if you don't believe it, it doesn't help at all. In fact, let me just punch you in the face. It's aggravating. And I recognize my penchant for being just aggravating. And there's a bunch of stuff that's been coming up on YouTube for me because a lot of messages coming up like, when you are awakened, you walk alone. And there's one, it's an Alan Watts, but I think it's AI of Alan Watts. And it's a video of that because, somewhere down the line, I believe I heard him ask for likes and subscribes. The thumbnail on this thing, I look over because I hear this, it's like the next thing coming up. And it's in a cafeteria, it looks like. And Alan Watts, and this is his monkey looking phase of Alan Watts, is sitting there by himself, hating everybody. That's fucking funny, man. I'm not hating anybody by any means. But I can also see how I could easily get on people's nerves with this shit, too. And then aside from that, I've gone from like wide open to I'm the one that's standing in the corner all quiet. I wear this thing almost all the time too when it gets, in the chilly side of the year. I don't have a lot to talk about anymore because it's been filled with this. There's no balance. I never have any balance, and that's always a problem. So I started thinking, well, if I'm starting to be kind of caustic on this shit, I don't want to be. Maybe I could get up with some groups or something that's out there. And that's problematic too. And hey, I don't really know. So I am not speaking towards every group. And there's probably groups out there that are completely awesome. And this has nothing to do with it. Once again, this is a video about perceptions. There's a registry for pagan meetups, pagan groups. Some of them are online. But, they're like formal groups where they had to sign up for this thing. And this has been a registry that's been out for a long, long time. And I have had an experience with this. So I go back and it's like, oh, well, what is around me? In my state, there's one group I definitely don't belong in. Just put it that way. Good on everybody in all these groups, respectively. And then I'm looking at adjacent states. And there are a few listed around Cincinnati, which I'm nowhere near Cincinnati, so it's not even a point. But then I started to realize any one of these things could be the cult that I have to avoid. You know, I'm already doing like self-study and going through a legitimate school that's presenting just basic information. They're not trying to make you believe anything either. I don't need a whole bunch of yapping in my ears, because I'm getting so much information right now and trying to wind it together to see overall. And it is pretty fantastic. What's turning up out of it is pretty fantastic.